At 5:14 local time in the North Atlantic, the flight deck glows under red lighting. Thin steam drifts across the non-skid surface as an aircraft elevator settles and locks into position. An FA-18 rests motionless in its chains, wings folded tight. The sea is calm, and a steady 18-knot wind moves over the bow. Inside the Combat Information Center, there are no windows, only screens and sound. A sonar technician leans closer to his headset. Through the wash of ocean noise, a faint metallic pulse slips through. Not biological, not from any vessel in the strike group, something else. Con, sonar, possible transient bearing 090. Very faint. No one shows a reaction. The officer of the deck does not even turn. He gives a single nod. Mark and monitor. The carrier, a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier of the United States Navy, holds steady at 19 knots. No change in speed, no turn of the rudder. 11 seconds later, a second acoustic event strikes the array. Different bearing, different rhythm. Sonar runs both signatures through narrowband analysis. Blade count begins. 7 blades. Slow rotation, minimal cavitation. A nuclear propulsion profile. The supervisor exhales. Con, sonar, confirm second contact, bearing 065. Classification possible submarine. Range indeterminate. Across the formation, an escorting Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer of the United States Navy lowers its AN/S QR-19 towed array deeper into the water. The cable slips silently from the stern, dropping below the thermal layer where shifts in temperature bend and distort sound. The ocean suddenly becomes clearer. The first contact changes depth. The second increases shaft rotation by the slightest margin. The data steadies. A comparison against the acoustic library flashes green. Likely Akula class, Russian platform. Sonar probable contact Sierra 1. Bearing steady. No active ping. Nothing sounds over the 1MC. No alarm follows, but the posture changes. Condition 3. Key stations manned. On the flight deck, everything appears normal. Yellow shirts keep guiding a tow tractor. A maintenance crew checks a nose gear strut. Above deck, it looks routine. Below deck, every system is listening. 5:18. Helicopter control authorizes spin-up. 2 MH-60R Seahawks begin turning rotors aft of the island. There is no rush in the movement, no panic, only procedure. Inside CIC, another acoustic spike appears. Con, sonar, new transient bearing 088, possible second submarine altering speed. Now the screen begins to show a pattern. 2 submarines separated by roughly 12 degrees of bearing spread, both below the thermal layer, both closing slowly. The carrier does not maneuver. It holds. The destroyer's electronic warfare suite starts passive logging. No emissions from the subsurface contacts, no active sonar. They are staying quiet, which means they intend to be detected only on their own terms. 5:22. Estimated range places them inside 30 nautical miles. That is not random traffic in open water. That is deliberate proximity. On the bridge, the captain stands with his hands behind his back, voice calm and level. Maintain course, increase passive collection, launch air asset. No raised tone, no hesitation. Beneath the strike group, propellers keep their steady rhythm. Thousands of tons of steel push forward through the Atlantic without deviation. The submarines continue closing. One contact shifts 5 degrees to starboard. The geometry tightens. The ambiguity shrinks. They are positioning. Con, sonar, contact Sierra 1 increasing shaft turns, now approximating 18 knots. Submarines do not accelerate near a carrier strike group without purpose. The destroyer widens its screening arc, opening more space between hulls. The cruiser edges subtly to port. The formation adjusts by degrees, not miles. From above, nothing seems different. From below, everything is changing. 5:26. The first MH-60R lifts from the deck. Wheels clear. It banks east, nose lowered, moving toward the horizon. Inside CIC, no one speaks for 4 full seconds. Then, con, sonar. Both contacts now inside, estimated 22 nautical miles. A threshold has been crossed. Not territorial, not political, tactical. The Russian submarines are now within simulated firing range of a U.S. aircraft carrier. No torpedo has been launched, no hatch has opened. But beneath the thermal layer, steel is moving toward steel, and the ocean suddenly feels much smaller. 5:28 local time. The first MH-60R Seahawk levels at 300 feet above the Atlantic, nose pointed toward the eastern bearing. The second aircraft lifts 30 seconds later, maintaining staggered separation. The rotors beat with steady precision, controlled, efficient, no wasted motion. Below, the United States Navy carrier strike group continues at 19 knots. Inside Combat Information Center, the acoustic picture sharpens again. Con, sonar. Contact Sierra 1, now 20 knots, bearing 085. Sierra 2, steady at 15 knots. The two Russian submarines are no longer fading in and out of background noise. They are maneuvering. The destroyer's towed array runs deep, slicing beneath the thermal layer where sound bends, hides, and reappears. The feed stabilizes. Blade rate confirms the earlier assessment. The Akula-class profile still matches. A possible second hull now begins to resolve. Yasen class. Larger acoustic mass. Greater power behind the shaft turns. Con, sonar. Sierra 2 showing broadband signature consistent with pump jet propulsion. Possible Yasen. That changes everything. A Yasen carries more than torpedoes. It carries cruise missiles with reach far beyond the horizon. But this moment is not about strike distance. It is about proximity. 5:32. The lead Seahawk slows and settles into hover. The crew chief leans out and gives the signal. The dipping sonar cable slips into the Atlantic, cutting through the surface chop. An active ping goes out. The ocean answers. A hollow metallic return. Then another. Inside CIC, the waveform jumps. Con, air asset confirms solid return. Sierra 1, estimated depth 580 feet. Closing geometry. The submarine reacts almost immediately. Its speed rises for a moment, then drops again. A depth correction follows. They know the helicopter is there. They are probing the edge. On the carrier's bridge, the captain studies the digital overlay. Two red vectors continue creeping inward, threading their way between the destroyer screen. Maintain formation integrity. No course change. That choice is deliberate. A course change suggests concern. Holding steady suggests control. 5:35. The second Seahawk begins dropping sonobuoys in a widening pattern. Yellow canisters strike the Atlantic one after another, building an unseen acoustic barrier. Each buoy starts feeding data back to the strike group in real time. The submarines are now inside 18 nautical miles. That is no accident. Con, sonar. Sierra 1 shifting port 5 degrees. Sierra 2 matching. The contacts are no longer simply approaching. They are adjusting relative angles against the carrier's projected path. They are building a firing solution. No one says, torpedo. No one needs to. Every sailor in CIC understands the geometry. A heavyweight torpedo fired from 15 nautical miles would collapse reaction time fast. At that distance, seconds matter. 5:37. The Yasen contact pushes to 22 knots. That is not evasion speed. That is positioning speed. Cavitation rises. The return becomes cleaner. Con, sonar. Sierra 2 cavitation increasing. Stronger return. The destroyer edges farther outward, widening the defensive arc. The cruiser nudges speed by half a knot to preserve screen spacing. Every move is measured in fractions, not drama. The carrier stays steady. Flight deck operations continue. An FA-18 is brought to Catapult 2. Engines idle. Deck crews move with routine precision, unaware of the depth, angle, and closing distance being calculated beneath them. 5:39. The lead Seahawk leaves its hover and shifts into a slow orbit. Dipping sonar is recovered. The pilot banks wide, moving into position for another drop. Con, air asset reports Sierra 1 altering depth, now 650 feet. They are diving deeper to complicate sonar geometry, but deeper water adds pressure noise, and that creates stronger detectable signatures. The strike group's acoustic picture grows more certain. Two Russian submarines inside 16 nautical miles, still closing. The officer of the deck remains calm. Air, continue active pattern. Surface units maintain passive, no escalation. No one says that final word loudly. It is still present in the room. 5:41. Con, sonar. Sierra 1, now inside 14 nautical miles. That is simulated firing range. Below the thermal layer, steel hulls move silently through black water. Above them, helicopters circle. Sonobuoys pulse. Destroyers adjust heading by degrees. No missiles, no broadcast warnings. Just disciplined counter-shadowing. The Russian submarines wanted proximity. Now they have it. And the strike group is answering, not with panic and not with noise, but with tracking, geometry, and steady forward motion. The ocean has become a grid. Every shaft turn is recorded. Every bearing shift is measured. The distance between hunter and target keeps shrinking. 5:42 local time. Inside Combat Information Center, the room is quiet enough that keyboards can be heard over the systems. The acoustic feed rolls steadily across the display. Then it happens. A hard metallic pulse. Short, high frequency, distinct. The sonar technician freezes, then replays it once. Then again. His voice stays level. Con, sonar. Possible outer door transient bearing 082 Sierra 1. No one asks what it means. Everyone already knows. Outer door transient, a torpedo tube cycling, not a launch. Preparation. On the bridge, the captain does not turn. Confirm. Replaying now, Captain. The waveform spikes again. This time, a faint hydraulic whine sits beneath the ocean noise. Then the destroyer's sonar supervisor comes over the secure net. Strike Group, this is Escort 1. We have matching transient on Sierra 1. Classification likely tube door movement. The tactical picture tightens again. Sierra 1 at 13 nautical miles. Sierra 2 at 15. Both below 700 feet, both inside the simulated firing envelope. There is still no alarm, but posture changes instantly. Set condition 1, underwater defense. No shouting, no theatrics, only execution. 5:44. The MH-60R Seahawk breaks from passive orbit and shifts into aggressive positioning. The pilot lowers the nose and accelerates. The crew chief prepares another sonar drop. Active ping. This time the ocean answers louder. The submarine reacts. Speed falls from 20 knots to 12. Depth shifts upward by 40 feet. That is defensive movement. The second submarine responds differently. Its shaft turns rise slightly. That is counter-positioning. Inside CIC, the tactical action officer tracks both vectors as they begin to converge. Con, Sierra 1 has angle on bow. Sierra 2 adjusting to starboard quarter. Crossfire geometry. If this were war, this would be the moment. 5:46. A second transient strikes the array. Fainter, shorter. Con, sonar. Possible second tube cycle. Sierra 2. 2 submarines, 2 torpedo rooms. No launch yet, but doors are moving. The destroyer's AN/SQS-53 hull sonar goes active for 3 controlled pulses. The meaning is unmistakable. We hear you. The acoustic picture sharpens all at once. The first submarine banks 10 degrees to port. Speed rises for a moment, then settles again. The second contact slips even deeper, pushing past 800 feet. That depth makes guidance more complex, but it also increases the chance of being detected. The carrier holds steady at 19 knots. No deviation. On the flight deck, Catapult 2 fires. An FA-18 launches smoothly into the gray sky. To anyone watching from a distance, it looks like routine flight operations. Below, it is anything but routine. 5:48. Con, sonar, Sierra 1 now inside 11 nautical miles. That distance sits well within a heavy torpedo envelope. If a wake-homing torpedo were already in the water, countermeasures would be seconds from activation. Nixie decoys on standby. Hard turns already calculated. Electronic countermeasure systems armed. The captain's voice remains even. Air, Titan pattern. Surface units maintain acoustic pressure. The Seahawk drops a dense cluster of sonobuoys directly ahead of Sierra 1's projected path. Active ping. The submarine answers without meaning to. Its hull resonates. The return sharpens into a clear, undeniable shape. Akula class confirmed. The second contact, with its larger acoustic mass, aligns with a Yasin class signature. Con, sonar. Both contacts now actively maneuvering. No launch detected. Every eye inside CIC stays fixed on the central display. Time stretches. 5:50. Another metallic pulse. Different this time. Longer. Con. Transient ceased. No follow-on acceleration. The torpedo tube activity stops. The submarines hold. The destroyer answers with one final active ping. Long, low, unmistakable. Then silence. No launch plume, no high-speed propeller surge. No rising broadband signature of an incoming weapon. Just water. Heavy and still. The submarines remain inside 10 nautical miles, but their speed begins to drop. The geometry loosens around the strike group. The posture does not relax. It stabilizes. The message has been delivered on both sides. The Russian submarines demonstrated they could approach. The United States Navy demonstrated it could detect, track, and respond. Inside engagement distance, 5:53. Con, sonar. Sierra 1 speed, now 8 knots. Sierra 2, 10 knots. Both altering course east. That is disengagement, not retreat. Controlled withdrawal. The carrier never changed course, never increased speed, never signaled threat. It absorbed pressure and answered with control. The torpedo doors remain closed. The ocean quiets. And for now, no one fires. 5:54 local time. The acoustic picture begins to stretch outward. Con, sonar. Sierra 1 bearing drifting 090. Speed 8 knots. Sierra 2 matching. Both contacts are easing east. Not running, not rushing. A measured exit. Inside CIC, no one leans back. No one relaxes. Every console remains active. Every headset stays pressed tight. Because submarines do not vanish. They reposition. The carrier strike group of the United States Navy continues at 19 knots, its wake cutting clean and white through the gray Atlantic. The destroyer widens its screen arc by another degree, preserving defensive geometry without signaling pursuit. 5:56. The lead MH-60R Seahawk sends one final active pulse across Sierra 1's path. The return is immediate, a clear hull outline. Depth now 720 feet. Angle turning away from the carrier's bow. Con, air asset confirms Sierra 1 steady eastbound. No aggressive acceleration. The second submarine lingers slightly longer. Its acoustic signature holds at around 12 nautical miles, drifting toward the carrier's starboard quarter before correcting course. Then something new appears. A third signal. Faint. Controlled. Con, sonar, additional contact, bearing 058, very low amplitude. The sonar supervisor pauses, checks the acoustic library, then nods once. Friendly. The word is not spoken loudly. It does not need to be. Somewhere below the thermal layer, out of sight and unheard by most of the strike group, an American fast attack submarine has been there all along, a hunter of hunters. Likely a Los Angeles-class or Virginia-class platform, operating independently but tied into the strike group's defensive network of the United States Navy. Silent, waiting. 5:58. A low-frequency active ping rolls through the water from the friendly submarine. Not loud, not prolonged, but unmistakable. A counter-shadow. The reaction is immediate. Con, sonar, Sierra 2 depth change. Rapid descent, 50 feet. Speed fluctuating. That is not confidence, that is caution. The Russian submarine has just realized it is no longer moving unseen. It is being tracked. The geometry shifts again. Sierra 1 briefly increases to 14 knots, then drops back to 9. Sierra 2 angles farther east. Both contacts begin opening distance, pushing beyond 15 nautical miles. On the bridge, the captain watches the display without emotion. Maintain posture, no pursuit beyond screen boundary. That is doctrine. Escalation is avoided not through weakness, but through control. 6:02. The Seahawk climbs to 500 feet and banks wide, maintaining sensor coverage without dipping sonar directly overhead. The destroyer returns to passive listening. Active sonar falls silent. The ocean settles again. Inside CIC, the tactical action officer tracks the widening gap. Con, Sierra 1 now 18 nautical miles, Sierra 2 20 and increasing. The crossfire geometry that once tightened around the carrier dissolves. The vectors now angle away from the strike group's path. The carrier never altered course, never surged speed, never issued a challenge. It absorbed the approach, it detected the maneuver, it countered without firing. 6:05. The friendly attack submarine shifts its bearing slightly, paralleling the Russian withdrawal at distance. Not chasing, not provoking, just reminding. Every submarine commander understands the message. You approached a carrier strike group. You were detected, you were identified, and you were counted. Above, the flight deck returns fully to rhythm. Another FA-18 launches clean into the sky. The catapult shuttle snaps back into place. Yellow shirts give their signals. Nothing in the sky hints that two nuclear-powered submarines had just moved within simulated torpedo range. But beneath the surface, everything has shifted. 6:08. Con, sonar. Sierra contacts beyond 25 nautical miles. Bearing steady east. Withdrawal confirmed. The American fast attack submarine holds parallel position for a few more minutes, then eases off speed. No pursuit beyond the line. The strike group tightens formation slightly, returning to standard cruising geometry. Electronic warfare logs are secured, acoustic signatures archived, blade counts, shaft rotations, transient events, everything recorded. Because next time those signatures appear, reaction time will be shorter. 6:12. Inside CIC, posture shifts down from Condition 1 underwater defense to heightened monitoring. Not routine, but stable. No torpedoes entered the water. No missiles launched. No public statement will follow. But beneath the Atlantic, a line was drawn and held. The Russian submarines came close enough to send a message. The United States Navy responded just as clearly. Quietly, precisely, without hesitation. The ocean settles back into rhythm. But everyone inside CIC knows how narrow that margin was and how quickly it can close again. 6:18 local time. The North Atlantic looks unchanged. Gray water, low clouds, wind steady across the bow. From a distance, the carrier strike group of the United States Navy moves exactly as it did an hour ago. Calm, measured, unhurried. Below the surface, the geometry has dissolved. Con, sonar. Sierra 1 now 32 nautical miles east. Sierra 2 35. Both steady. No sprint, no emergency dive, just increasing distance. Inside CIC, the tactical display opens up. Tight red arcs replaced by wider spacing. Acoustic logs continue to scroll, each entry time-stamped and stored. Every transient, every blade count, every shift in depth. The torpedo door cycles from 0542 and 0546 are flagged and archived, because memory matters. 0622. The MH-60R Seahawks return to the deck, Wheels touch down. Rotors slow. No dramatic debrief. No crowd gathering. Within the strike group's secure systems, the data is already compiling. 2 submarine profiles from the Russian Navy, most likely Akula class and Yasin class, refined and cross-checked. Their approach was not random. 2 nuclear-powered attack submarines closing inside a simulated firing envelope is not drift. It is intent, and intent is always answered. 6:25. Flight operations resume at full pace. An E-2D Hawkeye lifts off, climbing into the overcast. FA-18S cycle through the catapults one after another. The choreography never stopped. That was the point. The carrier did not turn away. It did not accelerate. It did not react outwardly. It held position. Inside CIC, Condition 1 drops back to Condition 3. Key stations remain active. Monitoring stays elevated. Because submarines do not disappear, they reposition. 6:28. The friendly fast attack submarine beneath the strike group reduces speed and angles back into its protective shadow. It does not follow beyond the defined boundary. It does not need to. The message has already been delivered. In modern naval doctrine, control is not measured by who acts first. It is measured by who controls the geometry. Between 5:14 and 6:12, that geometry tightened to within 10 nautical miles. Torpedo tubes cycled. Helicopters deployed sonar. Hull-mounted arrays went active. An American submarine revealed just enough of its presence. No weapon entered the water, but everyone involved understood exactly where the line was. 6:31. Con, sonar, all Sierra contacts beyond 40 nautical miles, bearing steady east. That is disengagement. Not defeat, not victory, just distance. The carrier continues at 19 knots, cutting a steady path forward. Above deck, sailors return to routine tasks. A maintenance crew replaces a hydraulic line. A pilot walks toward the ready room. Normal operations resume quickly at sea, but beneath that normal rhythm, calculation remains. Because the next time those acoustic signatures, 7-blade rotation, pump jet resonance, appear from the Russian Navy, the response will be faster. Familiarity reduces uncertainty, and uncertainty is what escalates situations. 6:35. On the bridge, the captain reviews the final report from CIC. 2 submarines approached inside simulated torpedo range. Both detected, both countered, both withdrew. He gives a single nod. Log complete. Maintain course. No speech, no announcement. The Atlantic does not measure who came closest. It only reflects who held steady. 6:40. The strike group widens spacing slightly, returning to standard transit formation. Electronic warfare teams finalize reports. Acoustic specialists annotate waveform details. Far to the east, 2 Russian submarines continue their patrol. They proved they could approach. The United States Navy proved it could detect, track, and respond without firing. That balance is fragile, measured in nautical miles, measured in seconds between detection and confirmation, measured in restraint. The ocean is quiet again. But every sonar operator in that dimly lit room knows how quickly quiet can turn into contact. Today, the line held. No smoke, no debris, just steel beneath the surface, calculating distance. And next time, the margin may be even thinner.